got his new hairdo. He's feeling himself. Feeling good.
Welcome to another episode of Above Average Black Men. This must be Roast Dad episode. But anyway, welcome to another episode of Above Average Black Men. Yours truly, Chris Pender Sr.
Chris Jr., as always, here to empower, inspire, and uplift the community.
And Roast Dad.
Devin Pender here. Just to say, like, follow, subscribe, share, comment, interact with us. We need the support.
Yeah, man.
They're not going to interact if you keep acting like that. You need to show some energy.
Welcome back. Yeah, he doesn't. Welcome back, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Feel a little crowded now. Devin not used to being able to stretch out.
I'm trying to get used to sitting back in the middle here. Like, I've been dialing in online or occasionally missing some here and there, but feels good to be back. I've been on the road, working a lot, working hard. Got to maintain what I do outside of this, 9 to 5, sometimes extended hours. But
when you're making a big bucks, man, you got to make sure you show up.
I guess,
Yeah, which ties right into our show, though.
Yeah.
What ties right into the show, man, is how do you balance, work and life? And I kind of add a little twist to it is, stress versus success.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we sometimes get so stressed out over success that we forget the balance. We forget the balance, man.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think that's why I kind of even wanted to talk about that tonight. I feel like I'm in the midst of that, that trying to find that balance. You're chasing up the corporate ladder and you almost want to grab every opportunity that comes to you. And sometimes not every opportunity is the best or right opportunity, like you can easily overwhelm yourself sometimes, chasing something.
And this is just a reminder, and I say this a lot. This is why you got to chase God and not money.
Yeah.
And some people may want to replace God because when you start chasing money, it's a never-ending chase. Because, people say this all the time, but theoretically you do, but in your mind you never have enough money. Theoretically you do get to a point where you're okay.
Yeah.
But in your mind, I don't have enough money because what happens is, you get so caught up, and I use myself as an example. First, you start equating the work with the profits. I'm working hard. I got this money coming in. I'm going to work hard. I got this money coming in. So I got to keep grinding, And then you start to say, well, now my work is paying off. I'm seeing the fruits of my labor. And then it's like you get used to it.
Yeah.
You get used to seeing that return on your labor. You get used to seeing that return on your investment. So you keep pushing. And then the final piece, you start remembering when you couldn't do stuff. You couldn't get the sneakers you wanted to get. You know what I mean? You bought the first car that you really didn't want to buy.
Yeah.
You start remembering all the sacrifices you made, and that starts pushing you harder and harder and harder. So if you're not careful, if you don't start doing some checks and kind of taking a step back, man, you can be running full speed into early grave or stress or like strokes. So many people having strokes now. And it used to be just, and I don't mean just anxiety to kind of downplay it, because I remember when anxiety attacks became a real thing. Before it was kind of like people wasn't really talking about it, but there was a time about 10 years ago it became real because people were so busy trying to make it, they were getting excited, man, and and they just started having anxiety attacks. So it can be literally a rat race, man.
Yeah. I mean, but what if you kind of almost, I know, outside of the money kind of comes with the climbing upwards. But, I always thought, or you take that approach of you come in, you spend some time at a place and you work your way up, and then when you're working your way up, it's just like kind of, to me, still kind of seeing how high can you go type of thing.
It is, but there has to be a balance, and where the balance comes in, first of all, because I think a lot of companies get over because they use that against you.
Yeah,
they use that against you. Man, Devin's gonna work his butt off of this. I'm going to underpay him because he's gonna keep hustling because he keeps chasing the carrot that I keep moving. He keeps chasing the goal that I keep moving. So you killing yourself. Meanwhile, you're making more money for the company who's not really sharing fairly the profits with you. I get it. But if you don't find a balance, you work yourself, and then you get sick or you something happens. They got somebody in your seat in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So, question kind of related to work. I guess, like, how much is it a balance between, like, you got to survive. You're going to take a job and try to get that money, or like finding something that you are kind of passionate or purposeful about.
I don't think it's a balance. I think it's learning yourself and learning when you're about to feel overwhelmed. Learning when you start to feel like you're drowning.
Learning. What if you don't even feel like you're drowning? Like, some people just feel like, this isn't something that I want to do. Like, I'm not passionate about what I do.
But I'm talking about, that's when you know you're out of balance. Mm-hmm. You know you're out of balance when that, you supposed to be sleeping at night, or you out with your girlfriend and you thinking about work. you know you're out of balance. So I think that's something that you got to pay attention to. You spend more time with your job than you do with your family. That's something you got to, and I get it. Some people have to, because you're hourly wage, you hustling, but you still got to find a balance. Because I remember my dad used to say this all the time. Yeah, you can't take the money with you. So you earn all this money, they won't spend it when you die anyway. Somebody gonna spend it. So I think it's important to understand it. But as far as what you said, I think, you see, when you find when you're passionate about something, it's easier to have a balance for me. Because when I found out, like when I was in corporate America, I was hustling. I was hustling. I got to make this money. I got to take care of my family. I got to reach these goals I set, because these goals just don't impact me. It impacts my family. I was hustling, and it was wearing me out because I wasn't into it. But when you do something that you're passionate of, you enjoy it. So it's less stress. And for me, when I found something that I really truly like to do, I also could see why I was starting to get stressed out, because I was losing some of the joy. It was easy. The bells were easier. You know what I mean? Like, now I'm fresh. I'm ready to do this now. I don't feel like going to school today, man. I'm just tired. Or, I'm going to the day, and I know somebody in this class going to say something crazy. I'm ready for it. Versus, man, I don't want to deal with so-and-so today because I know you're going to say something stupid. Yeah, so when you're into something passionate, it tells you, because your enthusiasm starts to wane a little bit. It's funny because I was watching, especially when we were talking about LSU with Stanley Robbins. Most people don't know who Stanley Robbins is. But
I do.
Stanley Robbins is better than Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, I know.
But Chris Jackson was talking about it, and he was saying the difference between the two was that Shaq was hungry. Shaq, that's what he wanted to do. Shaq was walking around the dorm talking about, I'm going to be the first guy to get an $80 million contract. Little did we know he was like prophetic. Yeah. Stanley was like, yo, man, I'm just doing this. He said he knew they was in trouble because they were somewhere eating. And as an athlete, when the basketball rolls by, most basketball players want to touch it, pick it up. He let that basketball kept right on eating. So, but that's okay, because that wasn't his so
his end all be all.
And when it's not, you get disinterested. And he was saying, like, they literally had to make him mad to make him play well.
Wow.
And then when the anger wore off, he go back to being, but when they got him angry. So I think that's another thing. When you're not doing something that you truly not passionate about, it becomes a chore.
Now, let me ask this, just because I'm curious. I want to get your opinion on this. What does a good work-life balance look for you, or sound to you guys?
I'm still trying to figure it out. So
yeah, we were just talking about it. Well, I mean,
I could let you.
It's a journey, and I think because I didn't figure it out till late in life.
That's what
and
you
were around when I was working all those hustling, doing different jobs. And you knew, but when you get older, you begin to realize, like, yo, I can't even enjoy the fruits of my labor. You know what I mean? I'm making this money and I can't do anything because either I'm too tired or always at work.
Right.
Then you start the things you really like to do. You never get a chance to do. Like for me, I never could just like sit down and unwind. Between trying to get stuff done outside the yard, and trying to get stuff. I was always going 200 miles an hour. I never got a chance to sit down and say, man, I'll make a nice piece of change here. Let me treat myself to something. Let me go to the mall and walk around and know where to go and get a pair of sneaks. Or you just, it's like everything is scheduled. And then as you get older, you begin to realize, for me, was like, I'm not going to say you get enough money, but you realize that three things. One, you realize money don't fix everything. Mm-hmm. It doesn't, because you think growing up when you don't have money. The second thing you realize is that money does you no good if you're sick and you can't spend it.
Yeah.
It does you no good to have $1 million sitting in the bank and you laid up in the bed, you can't do anything with it. It doesn't. And the third thing about it is, you learn that without the enjoyment created outside of hustling, you still don't enjoy the money.
Right.
You got to do something to create some enjoyment. And, like for me, not working on Sundays, being able to go to church. For me to say, well, you know what? I'm not killing myself on a Friday afternoon. I'm just not doing it. That became important to me. Not have to get up Saturday and go to work every Saturday. That became important to me. When I was younger, I didn't care. I'm working 6 days a week, man. I'm pocketing the money. That's what I was doing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Jalen Hurts. When you listen to him, dude loves football so much. Like the statement he made today, about this is why he needs to get a balance. But the statement he made today when they asked him about getting paid, the report's like, yo, you look for. He said, right now I'm not even thinking about that. He said, man, we lost. He says, I'm thinking about how can I win? How can I get better? He says, yeah, eventually we're going to talk about money. But right now, that's not my focus. So now he will probably come back down to earth, but some people never come back down. Like I look at Michael Jordan. He lost with family, all kind of stuff, because he was just so, work, basketball, and that's cool. And he's the greatest player ever lived. But look at all the things that he went through. And there's some people who are successful in their vocation, but they're not happy in their life. They're not fulfilled. And you gotta be, to me, my goal is to be holistic. I want to be content financially. I want to be content physically, emotionally, intellectually. I want to be and spiritually. I want to be, balanced in all those areas. That's a goal I set for myself, and I focus on those things, and that kind of helps me keep me centered.
Yeah, I'm like I said, still trying to figure it out. I think I have moments of where I try to make time to not think about work and just kind of relax.
I got one word
not
for
be
you.
on the move, but then it
I got one word that you have to learn. No. You just say it's harder than you think it. You have to learn to say no. I was talking to somebody today because I started out. I said I'm gonna do this year like.
Could you imagine that? I'm just asking somebody come up to you like, hey, I got this promotion and job for you. Like you just gonna say?
Well, no, not the promotion, but what comes with it. You know what? I can't. You know what, Chris? I need you to come in for a second. You know what? I have plans. I'll get it done in a timely fashion, but I cannot do that. You got to kind of figure out how to, because I got to say it sometimes. Yeah, no. Because if you give a stroke, it ain't gonna get done anyway.
Sure.
So like the beginning of last year to like 3/4 of the year, I was busting. I mean, I was running, doing all these contracts, doing all this stuff. It was cool because I had a goal. I was on this stuff, and then I realized like, yo, man, I can't keep this pace up. So then we planned a vacation. We started doing stuff. We started going out at the dinner once twice a month. We got to get back to that, by the way. So I had to get the balance. And my goal this year was not to do the same thing. Now it's funny because the minute you say it, like I was kind of not doing this. So then now this opportunity, really big opportunity, just kind of came up, and they said, okay, can you do this one thing for me? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna check out this one thing, and then it just keeps growing. It's okay, but So now I got to say no to some other stuff. In the past, I say yes to everything.
That's where I feel like, when do you say, like, how do you balance the difference between saying yes and no?
I can't make all the money.
Right, but you just kind of, to your point, you said yes because...
But I'm going to say no to some other stuff.
Opportunity,
So now some of the small stuff I was doing, I got to say no to.
Yeah.
There's some people who I'm not going to say obligated to, but I'm loyal to because they did things to me. So for them, I probably would never, I'm not going to say never, more chance than not I wouldn't say no. But in the same time, they compensate me. Ain't nobody trying to get the hookup.
Right.
So it's an exchange there. But then there's some people who I know, like there's some people who I know when they call me, it's about the hookup. It's going to be about the hookup. It's not going to be about, hey, Devin, I got this gig for you. Just send me an invoice for you, man. But my budget, to get all the stuff they wouldn't say to other people, I'll catch you next time. So it's a difference. And even then, if it's something, my philosophy is this: if I can do this and get paid, my rate per hour, I'm not going to do something that's got to work 3 hours to make that same rate. It doesn't make sense. I can do this for an hour and make X amount of money, or do this for 3 hours and make the same thing. I'm taking an hour.
So, a question related to the work-life balance. Like, say you do have your regular 9 to 5 that you have to put however many hours into, sometimes extra, but then also, I think there's a lot of people who are entrepreneurs. Like,
Yeah.
so you gotta try to find time to also put in those extended hours too. So
But you
how
still,
do you kind of deal with that?
well, I wear both hats.
Hmm?
I wear both hats.
But that's like without burning it, because that's at some point
I say no to
they
some
begin
stuff.
to both feel like work.
They do, but I say no to some stuff. And I wouldn't recommend to anyone who's an entrepreneur to have a. To me, you
can't
can't
say no starting out.
Yeah,
I'm
but
trying to get to the money,
but you
trying to
gotta
build a brand,
find a
trying to-
balance. Like I would never work 2 jobs, or I would not work a job and be an entrepreneur that I gotta work 400 miles an hour on both sides, because you can't sustain it. It's impossible to sustain that. Sooner or later, you're gonna get run down. I don't care how much sleep you think you get on the weekends. Your body is set up that it needs X amount of rest spread over a period of time. That's why if you dry, you run yourself dry. You think because you take a sleep for a couple hours. No, your body has to rejuvenate.
A little bit.
So I wouldn't recommend that. But then you got to find a balance, because I had a job where I was working 7 and long hours, rushing home trying to do this stuff, and it just didn't work out. And it was nice, but I found myself getting sick more. I wasn't working out like I should have been working out, like I'm accustomed to working out. So I was sacrificing that part. I was sacrificing that part somewhat.
Not like I want to.
Yeah. So you got to sacrifice the 5 things I mentioned. What are you willing to sacrifice? What? You spiritually, you're not going to go to church now. I'm just saying. Intellectually, you don't have time to read because you're so tired. Every time you get past the table of contents, you fall asleep.
It's like crazy.
Yeah. So you don't even look at TV, because the same thing with TV. The TV ends up watching you. Emotionally, you tired, man. When you tired and fatigued, it draws on your emotions.
Everything.
You're a little sensitive now, man. You're a little cranky. Whatever it is. So you're not doing well in that area. You may be doing well financially. You may be doing fine. That's if you're not spending money going to the doctors. You will. But again, are you willing to sacrifice the rest of those other? Because you got to sacrifice something. And those areas, you got to sacrifice something.
That's a good point. Well, because you're making it sound a lot easier said and done and everything like that, where you're making it sound real easy. How'd you learn how to say no?
I just had to make a decision.
Did somebody tell you that? Like, make sure you say
I had
no?
to make a decision. And it's funny because, I talk about this a lot, to people, and the difference, because somebody would ask me the difference with McKinsey, and you guys. The difference is, I have more time to spend with McKinsey. And I'm not going to say I have regrets, because I spend as much time as I could. But it's different, though. Thinking now, like,
time is definitely different.
But when you have a grandchild, you can think things different. You can do things differently. But you also learn. You learn from the things you've done before. When you admit to raising a family, you learn, but you got to be careful, because you want to make sure you're trying to teach the kids as equal as possible. You know what I mean? You want them to you prepare them to be a better, to be the better next generation than you. So you hustling. But when you get older, you start looking back like, man, could have made a couple more basketball games. You know what? Missing a couple $100 there wasn't going to rock the scale a certain way. And you start to see, you do think of things a little differently. And so what I mean by decision is, everything. I'm not saying it's easy, but it starts with a decision. See, if you're wishy-washy, well, I think I'm going to say no, I'm not sure. You're not going to say no. But if you get up in your mind, first you develop, what's my skill to say no? What is my skill? Like, let me back up. The first thing I did was sit down and figure out, okay, what do I have to do? What do I have to do to sustain the lifestyle I have? What's the bare minimum? And then for me, just the word bare minimum drives me crazy. That's like mediocre. So, okay, what can I do to be a little above that? So this is the effort I need to put out. Okay, now I want this to happen. What can I do to get that? Now, the other question you got to ask yourself is, how much of me is going to cost to get that in X amount of time? And then you got to make a decision. Well, you know what? I'm not going to try to take every contract. If Devin calls me up and says, I got a contract and I'm going to pay you $150 an hour, and I need you to do, 2 hours every 2 weeks, $300 every 2 weeks, to just for an hour, man, that's cool. But then somebody else comes back and says, yo, here's $10,000. You divide the hours up into how many hours you're going to serve. What you going to take? Right. So then you don't need it. That $300, you got to let that go. Because now you gotta say, what's my threshold? I still do stuff for free and I do minor, but my threshold is, no offense if I listen out there, I don't, unless it's somebody I know, I don't take anything under $150 an hour. When I'm doing my work, I don't. Because people will, no, it's not a boss, because people will nickel and dime you to death. They don't care.
Yeah.
They'll pay you $45 an hour and work you 10 hours and don't care. So what I'm saying is, now when somebody comes to me, this is my minimum rate. Now I do favors and stuff for people, but if you want to get me in a workshop, this is what it is. If I got to design a workshop and curriculum, all that stuff, you won't pay for it. Because half the time you gonna steal my stuff anyway. Yeah. You ain't taking notes, taking phrases and stuff and using stuff.
People want to do is easy.
No, I'm not knocking it, but what I'm saying is, so you have to learn to set your value. And the lower you set your value, the more people are going to take advantage of you. I'm not saying you try to get rich, but if you say, I'm only worth $25 an hour, everybody gonna be calling you. If you're good, everybody gonna be calling you.
I guess to the other side of work-life balance, when you're doing too much life part.
Well, yeah, there's some people who do too much life. They just like, man,
and not enough work.
Look, they work a 9 to 5, literally 9 to 5. I don't get there before 9. I'm out of here at 5 every day.
Well, what's that too much life? Like, what does that look like? What do you mean by that?
You're not dotting your I's and crossing your T's at work, man. You living for the weekend.
Bare minimum.
Yeah.
And then,
I was talking to somebody today. Like, I'm tired, man. You stayed up late last night? Nah, man, I'm tired from the weekend. That's a heck of a weekend. That on Wednesday you still tired? And I'm saying, especially if you got a job that you got a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah.
Your body can't take that. And then after a while, you can't do your job effectively. If you fall asleep at your desk or whatever it is, man, or you can't. And so you need a healthy balance, and and the balance can be different for everybody. Like I balance myself. There's some times where I put the work in while I'm in it. And then there's times when I slow down a little bit. So that's part of the balance. I am learning to say no. There was a time I took every contract. Somebody called me up, man, I'm there. If I can fit my schedule. And the worst thing that happened to me was when stuff went virtual. Because then I had to have travel time. I can schedule workshops 10 minutes apart because I don't need travel time. No, but I don't have to worry about See, when you do virtual, call me. I'm doing stuff online, Zoom. So I can take 15 minutes between the Zoom meeting where before I had to take 2 hours to drive somewhere, park and all this stuff. So I set up equipment, break equipment down. So it's easier. But I still got to be careful not to have I don't schedule anything on Fridays. I stay away from. So I'll do workshops Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evenings, unless it's really something special. I don't do workshops on Friday. I couldn't tell last time I did something on a Saturday afternoon. I could not tell you the last time. But before, I was.
Yeah,
I don't. I don't. But now, I got one this Friday. I'm doing something for staff in the school, which is pretty cool. I'm kind of excited about it. So I'll do that. But nobody won't call me up and say, can you do a workshop 6 o'clock on Friday? Now I'm blessed and thank God. People ask me. They don't come to me and say, I need you on these days. They'll ask me now, what days are you available? So I just say, these are the times that I can do it.
A whole different.
So there's a difference.
It's a different game.
I mean, you're at a point where you can do that now, again, for me, I still feel like I'm young I'm not even too young in my career, but, still had that mindset of you got to take everything that comes your way.
But you don't.
Because it's
when you look at let me tell you.
Because then now I feel like my mindset is he's reliable.
Let me flip the analogy.
That done.
No, that means you're a sucker. That means I can come in with everything. That's okay. Let me give you a different analogy. Say you decide that you're looking to get married. Mm-hmm. You ain't gonna talk to every girl that walk past. You gonna set a criteria. What's my standard? What's the criteria?
Some numbers.
That person is in trouble. But I'm saying you set a criteria. You set a criteria and say this is a criteria. Too short, to whatever. You have a criteria. Mm-hmm. So you got to have the same criteria for yourself at work.
Right.
And there's ways to say it. You just don't say, I'm not, some people just have no professional etiquette whatsoever. And they get fired, they get terminated. Mm-hmm. Those things you just said, people know when you're a good worker and when you're different. They know that. Mm-hmm. So unless you just slacking, and you can tell the way somebody asks you to do something versus, this is really, really super important, or I just kind of, in the conversation, because most people in companies will come right out and say, hey, Chris, could you really do, I got to have this by X amount of time. Mm-hmm. I get that. Then you got some people just because they show up on a Friday because they know you'll stay late and do it. So I think you got to find a balance, and I get it. Because I'm always trying to get better.
Trying to get better. That's how I look
hence
at it
above
too.
average black men.
Trying to keep
Okay. So what good is it if you say you get up and you making six figures? You up there in the top of the six figure scale, but you always tired, man. You always sick. You can't go out to dinner. You have to be like, oh man. You make a nice romantic dinner and y'all sitting there looking at TV and you
tired.
So what is it? So you got to find a balance. Or you don't know because you were too young. Your mama tell you, I remember I lost a patch in my hair.
What?
Mm-hmm. Because then I went to the doctor. I was like, Doc, what's up? He said, yo, stress.
Look at you now.
Stress. I mean, you're not gonna let this go, man. It's your fault.
I made everybody grow their hair.
No, it ain't, because you remember when I had the close haircut and you saw the picture in Bush and you told me I couldn't do it, so you challenged me. No, you challenged me, so I let it grow. And then I like mother style sidebar. Your mom kept saying it was a mess.
She just wanted
to clean
it up a little bit.
One day she says, You look just like Devin. You got a Devin hairstyle. I don't know. You got to ask her. I was like, what? You got to ask her. So you got to ask her. So I went. So then finally, and this sidebar, we got to get back to the show. But it's funny because the levity helps me to unwind. Because your mom, sometimes she's funny.
Yeah.
I don't think she means to be funny.
She just wants you to braid your hair.
And sometimes, like, if I didn't know her, it would be like mean sometimes. With just her delivery. So I kind of chuckle, like, she, you get your head done, it's a mess. I'm like, man, that's what you say to me. Like,
I'm going next week. Just
really honest.
So no, but she was like, yo, you need to get a style. She said, you need to get a style. And part of it was because, again, I was stressing myself out because it had got so long. I'm talking to people and it's coming over in my face, man. And, I'm now tucking it behind my ear. And I've never done that before. I got to tuck it behind my ear, and it's just, the one in the middle keeps popping down in front of my eyes and my nose.
It looks good.
I feel like something crawling on me. So they was like, yo, get a style. Why don't you get a style?
It caught me off guard.
So I went, and I went there in salon. She she was like, what you want? So first she was like, well, I could do you like Chris says this. No way. No way. I'm not going from looking like Devin to looking like Chris.
What does that mean?
So I was like, yes. And she said, well, I'm gonna try this. She said, I'm gonna try this and let me know what you think. Because she described, I was like, no. Emphatically no. And then she said, well,
I'm gonna braid your hair.
She said, no, she's talking about two braids. I'm like, no, I felt myself like that's not saying two ponytails. I'm like, no. But anyway, so back to but you know what? But that's also that's my therapy, because I don't have to think about work, and that's a healthy balance. Excuse me. I go there, I relax. I don't think about work. I'm just chilling, man. I'm in a different environment, So that's part of the work-life balance.
I'm trying to get to that level, where I don't feel like I'm thinking about work.
But real quick, because you said something interesting earlier about just work in general. Why do you guys feel like a lot of people don't want to work today, like get a job?
Period.
And where is that? And
what answer do you want? You want me to give you the professional answer? The answer is going to piss
I feel like it started during the pandemic, but I
could
be wrong.
I think
it's been like that.
I disagree. The pandemic highlighted it because you knew about all these jobs that was open. People didn't just get lazy during the pandemic. It contributed when people started getting money. But there are some people who just don't work. And the other part of it is, and have a conversation with some of your friends, and not your closest ones, but some of your outside your circle. Folk don't have goals anymore. People are not sitting there saying, I want this, I want that. I got my 5-year plan. I sat down with some of my staff members. Hopefully they're not watching this. And after a meeting, we started talking. And I think people are always curious about how I got to where I'm at. Like, yo, how you, and I'm not rich. I won't put that out there, but people are always kind of curious how you get to have a little extra and do stuff. So I said, you got to have a 5-year plan. He was like, what do you mean? We had a 5-year plan and included a balance. We said we're going to live in this apartment for no more than 5 years. We're going to live in this for more than 5 years. And we didn't say anywhere 5 years, by the way, until and our goal was to move out to where we live at now. But if you don't have that, what makes you go to work when you're tired? If you don't have a goal to go to work for, if you're trying to buy a car, If you cool with a hoopty, it don't take a whole lot of effort. If you cool with going to McDonald's and Burger King, and you think Outback is the upper echelon of restaurants when you go on a date. And I'm not saying for people
what if that is the goal?
But I'm not. But that's what I'm not. But I'm not saying about people who love. Because I love those places. What I'm saying is, if you settle for mediocrity, I guess that's the best way to say it. You work for mediocrity. If you're trying to work for excellence, you work for excellence. Your work ethic reflects that. I asked a group of guys, two group of high school kids. When I say this, what do you mean? What do you think about when I say, and do you agree with it? As a man thinketh, so is he. They don't know conduct the Bible. And no. So that's okay. Let me ask you a series of questions. Why do you do some of the stuff you do? Because of the way you think. Why do you set some of the goals you set? Because of the way you think. And they oh yeah, you're right. And there's some people who think, I'm never getting out this neighborhood. So that's the goal. So, there's some people who think, you know what, I'm okay. You're not okay. And this, you hear me say this all the time. There's some people who, I hate this phrase. At least I'm better than so-and-so. So it's where you set your goals kind of ties into your work ethic. I knew I didn't want to, I love my neighborhood, the character, resilience, the things, and you know how much I talk about it, but I knew I didn't want to raise my family around it. I knew I didn't want to, have to teach my kids how to duck gunshot bullets and tuck and roll and all that crazy stuff, learn how to take the different route home. So when stuff go down, you don't. You want to put your kids in a better situation. So that was a goal. Hence, I know people who, they don't leave the hood. It becomes generational. Not because they can't, because they choose not to, because they don't see life outside of there. They are the community. It's like when you see, it was funny because I was watching, Shannon Sharp was talking about Ja. And he said the same thing. He said, dude, first of all, you're not a thug. And now you outclass the thugs. You got an $80 million contract and you hang around with your boys, and you can't do that. But if that's still his mindset, that's what he's going to do.
So you mentioned a lot of, I feel like, great things related to setting goals and how that kind of dictates where you kind of land in life
every year.
Do you incorporate goals, I guess, for the life part, like to balance out your work and play? And what does that look like?
Okay, I wanted to be able to take my family to Disney and not have them spend any money. I was able to do it. That was a goal. And I had to where people digging their pockets were about, man, I can't pay my electric bill. I can't pay, that's something. And we were able to do it. You know what? Family goals is I make sure I get Mackenzie at least every weekend, unless something comes up. I make sure I invest time in him. I know I get on y'all nerves, but I make sure at least I'll text y'all or call y'all at least once a week. I make sure. And if I can, your mom, she gets on me, what y'all doing? Let's do something. To me, that trip we took over the summer, I'm ready to do that every year. So for me, that mixed in my goals. This is what I truly believe. This is how, to me, this is one of the most effective tools. When you set a vision for yourself and it includes others, you're pretty much going to be successful. People who set visions for themselves, just for themselves, they struggle. But I know, because I want to be able to do stuff for y'all, I'm going to grind a little harder. And we all going to reap the benefits from it. I love my mom and dad to death, God rest their soul, but there were things they couldn't do for me. They could peel off so I can help you with things like that I wanted to make sure I could do for y'all, in a case of emergency. So that was part of my goal. So that was family goals. You hated, remember y'all in college? What did we do the first night y'all came home? We had dinner together. So I've learned to set goals, and you got to have them for personal and for family. You can't just have work.
Right.
There should be 3 sets of goals. You should have one for your, whatever your vocation profession is, one personally, and one for your family.
How often do you goal set? I feel like some people, or most people, it's like a New Year's resolution thing, and they think, I'm about to get in the gym, and the basics.
Once a year, but I check on it 3 times a year. I'll set my goals.
Quarterly?
I set my goals. Usually around November, December, I'm thinking about it. So when January gets here, I got, like in this book right here, you see, this is 2018. It was things I wrote. And I have all these books. So I can go back and grab these things out the front of them. I think these are appropriate for the show, but I'll set my goals. And then, when I get to like March, where I'm at my goals, what kind of progress am I making? Am I making progress at all? Am I going forward? I'm going backwards.
Right.
Where I'm at, And then again, around August, I do the same thing. How close am I obtaining my goals? If it was when I wanted to get down to 185 pounds and I was like 2 something, you know what? I'm gonna get this knocked out. You know what? I'm gonna get this done in 2 months. How I'm gonna do it in 2 months? I came with my little 30-day challenge. I gave up pasta, chocolate, bread. For 30, I worked out every day for 30 minutes, and I didn't know it was keto. See that?
I said almost.
And I read, and I made sure I was going to read, so I could take those 5 areas of my life I keep it off. So but you gotta have those goals, and you gotta keep looking at them. You can't put a goal down and just walk away and things going to happen.
Now, do they ever change during the year? Like, beginning of the year, you may feel one way. But like you said, in August, it's like, oh, let me modify this goal a little bit.
August, February. It's funny because one year I said, you know what? I looked at my schedule and I said, man, I want to make about $5,000, extra income. Well, okay. I got a $10,000 opportunity. Oops, got to change that. And I wasn't going to change it to 10 because I had 10. I meant it. You raised it to something that you got to work for. I wasn't be unrealistic and raise it to 100, but you want to raise. I do a workshop called Raising the Bar. You want to keep raising the bar. If you meet a goal, then it became okay. Now I lost 15 pounds. How can I get some muscle on? I gotta look like y'all when I walk around my shit. Instead of look like a flabby old man when but that was the next part of the goal. And it's harder for me because at my age, I'll be 62 this year, and I'm not being sarcastic. Nobody believes that. When I say that to people, everybody get out of here.
I got a question for you. What if you have I don't want to say if you got these goals and at some point in time, like they kind of conflict, because I talked a little bit about asking about, you have a corporate or business life, and then you are an entrepreneur as well, and it's at some point in time, like 100% has to go somewhere, How and when do you make that decision or pivot? And then, I think sometimes it's kind of tough to do, especially when you feel like you're getting money in one. But the other one is
it turns down to
gamble.
Economics. It turns down to economics. If when I first started out, when I was when I first started the workshops and the public speaking and stuff, and I was doing pretty well. I was doing pretty well for myself. And then I got more, work required a little more of me because I was in the financial field at that time. It wasn't a hard choice because I knew what was paying the bills. What can I live off of full time? It wasn't a hustle on the side. It was my bread and butter. So I had to devote the time. So I had to strategically do it. Because you just don't want to cut off your connections and stuff. But I had to devote time to what my full time. But I also had to get to a mindset now. I got to find another full time gig that's going to give me enough time, enough flexibility to do this other thing. So that became another goal.
Now, is it possible
to take less?
Is it possible to like you said, the work life?
Take less.
The things in life, is it possible for that to kind of enhance your work style? If that makes sense.
Yeah, because it's like basketball analogy. We all play basketball. It's like you work on something in the driveway. Maybe you're working on your 15-footer. You doing the drill and everything. You doing everything. I'm just saying you knocking down the elbow thing. I say how y'all do. You knock it down. You get in the game and you start knocking them down. You want more. So now all of a sudden, them 15-footers become 20-footers. You start knocking them down. So success, if you're built the correct way, success should should increase your work ethic. I tell everybody the story when you had the key to the gym. At Mansfield when you did the shoot. And the story when you came from, you just started out playing 3 and a 4 in high school. When you started playing volleyball, that was late in life. So when you start experiencing success, you put the work in.
Right.
You do. When you start experiencing success, however, you got to have goals, man. You got and you got to have a vision, and you got to have an attitude. You got to kind of have, hey, not
I'm
almost
going to get this.
arrogant.
I don't see how I don't.
Not almost arrogant, But you got to be like, yo, I deserve this.
That's how I be.
I deserve to have a balance in my life. I deserve it not to have to work 60 years because I've done it before. Now, remember, I was working 3 jobs, getting hardly
Yeah.
no sleep. I've done it. But you know what? I deserve to not have to do that, to live the lifestyle I live. I deserve that. And because I deserve it, my work ethic is going to meet my appetite to deserve that. Now I can't sit home and play the lottery every week and think that's going to fix my ills. I can't just work a part-time job.
Why
and
not
think,
me though with the lottery?
Well, hold on to that theory. Hold on to that
Just
theory.
need one time to win.
Yeah, but what you would do in the meantime?
What you mean?
Man,
oh, while we waiting for me to win.
My dad told me, and I never forgot this when I was going away to school. He said, "Son, you got 2 bad habits." And I said, "What's that?" He said, "Eating and living indoors, and they both cost money." So all that you got doing this, and then again, if you are a father or if you are, you're a husband, you got somebody else to look out for.
Yeah.
So you can't be slanted too much in one direction because if you spend too much time at work, you're neglecting your family.
Right.
And then if you spend too much time with the family, you're not in a place where you can pay the bills to take care of the family. So you got to find the balance, and most people don't have the balance because they don't set goals. We spent a whole show talking about that. We talked about why about Martin again a couple of weeks ago about his dream included other people. It wasn't just about him. So when you set your goals, how you find a balance is you got to include others. When I set goals, I think about your mom. We're at the stage now where I don't have to worry about y'all because y'all grown. We still think about y'all, but now my goal is okay. How are we going to spend our golden years together? What is that going to look like?
What I like, not to cut you off, but just again thinking about the work-life balance and like kind of the average age for working is 65.
Is there an average age?
Yeah, I don't know. It's even higher and higher.
It used to be, but I think there is no average age anymore because it's different for everybody. Because it's not like back in the day.
Some people do it because they enjoy it, and then I feel like it's some people they just.
But also, if you look at the average person, and it's not like back in the day where you got a factory job and they put money into your account. They it wasn't called a 401k. I can't think of what it was called now. It's crazy. It'll come to me later. But it was almost like a 401k, but they put money into like a retirement fund for you.
Mm-hmm.
They will put money into it, and you built it up. Now it's your money. You got to put all, and everybody is not in a position to take money out their paycheck to put into a 401k. It's different. So now because it's different, people have to work longer because their retirement less money.
Yeah.
And I think people accumulate more debt now. So you got to work longer to pay off the debt. So I think there's different things, there are different factors that kind of create this chasm now where people they just got to work longer. And then, like you said, I know people who retire and they go get another job,
which is wild. Like because it's like you retire just so you can find a part-time job.
Man,
some people get bored though.
Some of it's not from boredom.
Man, I got a plan. My plan is this: I'm gonna work FamCom as long as I can. I already picked out this golf simulator. The next place I moved is ceiling. If I had a high ceiling, I would buy it now. You can get a golf simulator, like a 3D golf thing. It tracks your swing and everything, man. And I'm gonna take some time, man. I'm just really gonna enjoy my life, man. Like right now we got date night and stuff. When you retire, any night can be date night. I'm not saying don't work,
I can retire,
but I don't want to be in a position where I have to work. Like you see people, they gotta work, and I don't want to be like that. I know I got 3 kids who well off who gonna take care of me, but that's Plan B. No, but I think you need the balance, man. I think without the balance, man, and I look at it. One is not good healthy. It's not good health wise. People having strokes, man. People stressed out. You couple that with you don't eat right. You eating all kind of you eating fast food because you're hustling all the time, man, or you're not eating because you don't want to spend the money. That's not healthy. It's not healthy at all. It's not healthy physically. It's not healthy emotionally because now you snapping at your kids, you snapping at your wife. You're just not a happy person.
It's the grind, though.
Yeah, it is, and that's because people don't know better.
Yeah,
because people are not teaching. I'm trying to teach these kids in high school. Nobody's teaching about a vision or how do you pursue your dream. Nobody's teaching them that. And like I told you, I did the obituary a couple weeks ago. What a day I asked them, you got to choose one. Sex or a healthy relationship. You got to choose one of the two. 'Cause, which one you going to choose.
Already know.
Good time now or sacrifice for a brighter future. I was giving them choices there to choose, and we were having conversations around it. You'd be surprised what people don't think about this stuff. Or when I'm working with adults, I'll say, okay, well, one of the goals, they want to be happy. What does happiness look like? Most people don't even know what it looks like.
It's hard for people to look past tomorrow.
That's what these kids say. These kids, when I did the obituary, 25.
It's hard for people
30.
to look past tomorrow.
40, 50. Man, 50 old. Dude, I'll be 62 this year. 50 is not, I didn't begin to hit my stride till I was up there. But to your point, it's hard. But if you don't look past tomorrow, how do you build for tomorrow? What if I'm not looking past tomorrow, what's waking me up in the morning?
I mean, that's what probably makes it hard for people to make goals, though, too.
I agree with that.
If they can't even,
you got to make a decision, though. You got to say, I want. But you got to say you want more. All three, y'all. You, Devin, Nicole, all three of you decided that the sport you were playing, you were going to be good at. You were going to put the work in. I didn't beat you, make you stand out there, rain, change you to a pole. You made a decision. It comes down. You got to make a decision. And now, once you make a decision, you got to stick to the decision.
Stick with it.
If that's your decision, and again, my dad wouldn't let me quit a team. If I got on the team, man, I don't care how unfair it was. Dude, you're not quitting this team. So you got to make, and it's a decision. Just like we talked about love. Love is you make a decision. I'm going to stick in this relationship. I'm going to work it out. It's you make decisions. We got to stop. I always say destiny is a matter of choice, not chance. We got to stop thinking it's chance. You make decisions, and I got to make a decision. I may always make a right decision, but even when you don't make a decision, you made a decision. And I think so. The balance between work and finances, you got to make a decision. I want to be healthy. I want to be happy. I want to be successful. Okay, what does success look like? If I can't define success, I'm never going to be successful. I want to be happy. If I can't define happiness, I'm never going to be happy. You got to have a balance.
Yeah, I guess a lot of my questions come from I get the position that I've kind of been in lately. Just kind of.
But it's not. It's new to you. It's not
climbing. And it's just like, man,
how do you even quantify the amount of time?
I got a trick for you. How? Start thinking back to when you were at that job you had that you hated.
I know.
You would definitely appreciate what you doing.
I thought about that.
Sometimes you got to go back to them worst case scenario. Start thinking when you back at the supermarket, the stuff you don't. You got to start thinking back to them things that you hate.
I do think that's some of the probably opportunities that I had before where that was okay for me. Especially with the work-life balance aspect of it.
It wasn't okay. You hated them.
I'm not talking about that far back. I'm talking about maybe like a few years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where, especially for the balance of the things that I was trying to do outside of work. You know what I mean?
But it's still not true because I know you and I talked to you. It was okay for a moment, but your desire to maximize your potential was never going to let it be okay for a long period of time. That's just the way all y'all built.
Yeah, I know. But I think I've reached a point now where it's like, creeping into the entrepreneurial business.
Well, we're taping. We got this on tape. Mm-hmm. But even in the entrepreneur, what I'm saying is because even in the entrepreneur, I meant it because I'm going to let you hear this. Because what's going to happen is because you'll be okay for a while, but then all of a sudden you're going to not feel fulfilled because it's not challenging you anymore. Because you've reached a plateau that you set. What's next?
And not to be so vague with the entrepreneur. I'm right. So it's opportunity there for things to become lucrative.
But it's the same thing in entrepreneurship. You get to a point, like, for instance, when I said, okay, I wanted to make X amount of money, when I was making it, fine. And then somebody said, you know what? They said, but you need to understand this. Just like you get new business, you're going to lose business. So you got to find a balance. And then he said to me, he says, well, do you put a limit on the amount of air you breathe? I was like, no. He said, why would you do that for your earning potential? He said, just don't put a limit on your earning potential. You can put a limit on how you go after it, what you want to do. But you don't put a limit on what your earning potential because that's the thing that drives you. That's the thing that fuels you. That's the thing that's going to allow you to have the lifestyle you're looking for. So you got to, and it goes back to balance. You can't be all in chasing money because I think if you chase money, it never comes to you. I think if you pursue your dream, you pursue your talent, you everything to it, it'll come to you because people will see that. People will see your work ethic. They'll see your character, your integrity, and they'll say, you know what, that's the dude I want. And then you go from when I was doing stuff for free just to get my name on the thing, the people called me up and say, yo, hey, can you do this for me? I've had people call up and say, just send me an invoice. Now I don't rack people over the coals, but they know my work.
Right, something crazy on it.
They know my work. Yo, hey, so you earn it. So it's not like, you're not earning, you're not building your reputation. Mm-hmm. It's like in sports, you build a reputation. And your reputation precedes you. Even people you don't know. People were saying, yo, that's so-and-so, that's so-and-so, that's so-and-so. So it's the same thing in life. You got to build up the stuff. You build your reputation. If people see you building a reputation of a balance between family and work, they honor it. Like for me, I always put pictures of I've done this forever. Not so much lately now because I'm older, but early on, dude was like, yo, you need to put pictures of your family on your desk so people understand. So they know that you have other priorities.
I got a question for you about work. So do you feel like it's possible for somebody to just work in something where they're just happy and it not even necessarily has to be lucrative?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
He laughed.
Man, there's people that I go in that I talk to in Walmart and they love what they're doing. There's a young lady that I talk to.
Greeters?
Yeah, no, I mean, even I've run into people in the store. There's a young lady I go to in Dunkin' Donuts, and she always greets me with a smile. Hey, how you doing? She's happy.
You sure?
Well, at least she act like it, but she ain't. Oh, this job. So there is some people okay. And I don't knock that. There's some people who don't want a lot out of life. There's some people like, yo, if I got a roof over my head, I got food in my refrigerator. That's okay. But then don't complain. And don't say I'm selling out because that's not good enough for me. Don't be latching on now because Chris going somewhere. So, but if you okay, I don't care if you okay living in projects the rest of your life. That's okay. Because you set a standard for your life that you're happy with. But don't complain. I don't want to hear you talking about like you've been complaining about this job for 20 years, and I say, okay, hey. Let me back. I did this workshop for a group of corporate America, and everybody in the room was making 6 figures. Okay, who in here is happy? Everybody raised their hand. No, let's be honest. Who in here really is happy? One dude raised his hand. What's going on? And people was kind of, chuckling a little bit and everything. So, what y'all laughing at? So somebody finally said, well, I don't know how happy he can be because he probably makes less than anybody in this room. Dude was like, I make $85,000 a year. He said, but you know what? I own my home. I got a wife and 2 kids. They love me to death. He said, I may not be driving a Lexus, but that Toyota truck outside is paid for. He said, I sleep well every night. He said, I have health. He said, he says, I'm happy. I'm blessed. And everybody in the room was like, because they attach their happiness to dollar signs. Dude found out that, I could get there, but my goal is I'd rather have, instead of working 14-hour days, I'd rather leave at the end of the day. He got promoted out the mailroom, but I'm saying I'd rather leave at the end of the day, go home and spend time with my family.
It was cool. In the mailroom?
No, I mean, he got promoted out the mailroom. He got promoted out the mailroom. That's how people realized he wasn't making what they were making because he got promoted out of there. That's where he started. But he was happy, and you can't debate that. Who is somebody to get up there and say, there's people who don't own a car who are happy. Then there's some people that don't want to go out there and catch the bus. Uber was the greatest idea for them.
That's me. Don't want to catch the bus.
So I mean, it's like, I love the cars we drive. But every once in a while, I want to get something else. I'm like, man, I could afford it. I'm in a good place in my life. I'm like, nah, that's how, So,
just want to get a new car to get a new car.
I do. Sometimes I do. And it's because, people laugh because people say, man, you got a lot of sneakers. Because I got sneakers upstairs. I got racks of sneakers. And I'm probably get a couple more pair. Oh, man, you know what? You know why I buy sneakers now? Because when I had y'all, I couldn't.
I was about to say.
And then you know what? My father, God rest his soul, my dad, I remember when Chuck Taylors went from $9.99 to $14. You would have thought they were for $14. I'm not paying no $14 where everything was like no $14.99 for. I just remember that. So now I can.
I know,
but
so
I can
stupid.
buy stuff. So I do. So you know where
Those are bucks.
and it's funny because your mom, it was hard, but she's in the same mindset now. If you want something, we go get it. You know, just like Valentine's Day, we did something different where I couldn't have done that years ago.
Trying to get to y'all status.
I'm about to say.
Yeah, right. Y'all at our
This is a
status.
humble
I'm not
brag
there.
right
Y'all
now.
at our
Like,
status.
no,
No, it ain't
I'm
y'all.
not.
You know, but you
No,
know,
I'm
this
not.
was, and you know, this was me working 3 jobs. This was me doing all kind of stuff. This was me hustling and grinding, man.
Mhm.
You know, nobody, the Brinks truck didn't open up, and if I had not had a work ethic, I say it all the time. When I met your mom, all I had was ideas. I was broke. All I had was ideas, but I had a work ethic. I knew I wanted more than what I had, and my dad, greatest storyteller ever. I say this all the time. He says, I had a chance, scholarship to go play ball and everything. We were sitting down talking, and he says, well, what do you want to do? And I wasn't sure because none of my friends, they would tell me I was selling out and everything. He said, let me show you something. He took a piece of paper. On this side, he wrote a house. On this side, he wrote a circle. And you probably know, I think I told you the story. He said, what's this? I said, he said, no, that's your mom's house and my house. You don't have anything. He said, what's that? He said, that's a 0. That's exactly what you have. That's exactly what you had. He said, yo, you better figure this out. He said, 2 years after you graduate from somewhere, you out of here.
Man.
High school, college, 2 years, uni, and after that is emergency shelter, and I get to determine when it's an emergency.
Shelter.
So it wasn't like I didn't have a place to go, but I'm saying that was, that's how he was. He was like, yo, dude, you got to make sure you set yourself there. My job is to give you the tools, every opportunity. It's up to you to get your future straightened out. That's not his job. My job was to hopefully lead an example by giving you a work ethic, laying the foundation. You got to make the choices and go get it.
Right.
And at the same time, hopefully you learn, and you did. Because you decided you weren't getting no manual. Well, all y'all decided y'all won't get no manual labor job. Y'all like, it ain't happening.
Manual laborers.
Enterprise is pretty
I could do it at home.
Yeah. But wow, because you learned. You learned from, you saw me making y'all work in the yard doing the stuff y'all did. You learned from. But there's
Washing
some
the
people.
dishes at the National Constitution Center.
But there's some people who complain and do the same thing every day, but they make no decisions to change their life. And that's where the balance comes in, man. You want to have a healthy balance helps you make better decisions.
Yeah,
it does.
I think this conversation might have been personal tonight in terms of where I was like, man, I really need to figure this out. Like, get this work-life balance together, because I think sometimes it can swing either way. I feel like, sometimes I'm like work, and sometimes.
But it's a moving target.
It's too much life.
It's a moving target. I don't think. Well, again, I speak for myself. I never have it figured out for a long period of time. I always have to go back and remind myself and reassess things. Okay, I need to do this because I do get excited. Somebody calls me up, like where I'm at now was somewhere I was trying to get to. So when the opportunity started coming, I was excited. I was afraid to say no. I should say, man, if I say no, they're not gonna call me back. I used to say stuff like that. And then I realized, what? If it's not my time, it's better to say no, and they don't call you back. Then you say yeah, and you screw it up, and they still don't. And now you messed up. So you had to figure it out. You got to figure it out. And I think if you do what you're supposed to do, people will see your value. They'll see what you're worth, and people will see that you're loyal. People will see that you come to. Like, my plate is full, but you know what? Somebody called me up, like, yo, I really need you, Chris. Yeah, I got you. So you know what? As soon as I got off the phone, I started moving stuff around. Like, yo, I got to do this. I can do it. You know why? Because the person's been good to me. The person's always treated me fair with respect. So she knows when she calls me, yo, you need me to do a workshop or something, I got you.
Right. Yeah.
So but at the same time, it's taking me because somebody else walked up to me today, was like, yo, hey, we need to talk. I said, well, why? Well, I need to introduce you to my boss because, I think you're really good at what you do. The kids connect with you. They really like you. We got this other guy. They don't connect because he's not passionate about it. He said, when you talk, we can feel the passion. So I'm going to introduce you to my boss. I didn't ask her for anything.
You just accepted more work, though.
No, I'm going to talk to her boss and say, if it's not in my dollar range, I'm not doing it. So now I can say, hey, people, I don't care. But,
the power.
Your mom laughs at me when I say this.
I think that's really funny.
My rate right now, average is 400.
You are just throwing numbers all out.
I'm just saying, though. I'm just saying. But I remember when I was doing 25. That's not why I put it out there.
But you was probably taking a lot more than two, right? Like,
Yeah, I sure was. But that goes back to balance. Why am I going to take 8 things
it's like where's
to make $200
you know,
when I can take one thing?
It's like the balance of like when you're in this place of feeling like you have to keep grinding and taking everything, and then realizing when you get to a place and you're just like, all right,
I could chill.
I can pick and choose.
Because along the way, you got to learn your value. It's not just about part of gaining the work balance is understanding your value. If you don't value yourself and you think, oh man, you hustling because I got to do that. No, but when you learn your value, no, I don't have to do that because I'm trying to establish my
Well, what
value.
if you're trying to increase your value? You're thinking it's like that's
you still
sometimes you think it comes in the title and the number of things that you do.
But you still got to pick and choose. You can, if you increase your value. If I'm sitting there saying, okay, say Devin comes along and you working for Devin, me and you meet, we talk, I like this dude, well-rounded dude. So Devin comes back and says, well, I need you to do something, you're not even good at it, but you take it. Is that the impression you want me to see? Because I may be the guy with the next job making 6 figures. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful and choose when you can, because if you got a job and tell you got to do it, you got to do it. But you got to be careful and choose, and you got to have a balance. It's funny because I was watching. We were talking about they were talking about coaches. And I'll do this real quick. The debate now is about the Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy. How can Gannon and the other dude be so terrible? And they got jobs right after the Super Bowl. Both the Eagles offensive coordinator. This dude been to 5 Super Bowls, got multiple rings, and beat both of them. And so rumor has it he doesn't interview well. So you think, I don't know if it's true or not, but if that's the case, why wouldn't you work on that?
I mean, did you see Nick Sirianni's first press conference?
Yeah, that was. I thought when I heard that, I thought the same thing. But if that's the case, you work on that. If that's the case, if you really want that, you shouldn't. And I'm not saying this is mindset, but too many people had this mindset. Well, I'm good at what I do, so take me as I am. No, there's another mechanism to that. Are you going to be good that I need you to do?
Yeah.
And I think, that's why you got to start to rethink things, man. You got to sit down and say, am I a well-rounded person? Am I just going to be good? Like if you're good at defense, you ain't going to be in a game at the end of the game when y'all got to score. Just see Ben Simmons. If all you can do is shoot, when they need to stop, you're not going to be on the floor.
It's understandable.
So, so that's the point I'm making. And just like in those situations, because they put you on the floor, you could possibly let the whole team down. You got a family. So if you screw up, you let your whole family down. It's not just about you. And so that should propel you to have a work ethic. I'm getting opportunities now that I didn't think, I'm going to be doing workshops at a national conference. Happened a little later in my game than I thought it was, but I'm doing it. People are going to be there from all over the country. So I got a shot now. My goal is to be able to do that full time. My goal is to be able to just do this full time, travel the world. I told your mom I would love for the two of us just to be able to say, look, hey, we're going to do this workshop in Los Angeles. Hey, Devin, can you can you go on this trip? That's my goal. My goal is to travel, and do that and speak all over the country. That's my goal. And maybe all over the world. I love to do a workshop in Dubai.
Probably got a lot to share.
So I'm just saying though, but so you work towards it. So we all passed the time, man. It's Chris's fault. We were good till Chris came back.
What? It's my fault. Maybe
Tell him that we had no time stopping.
Such a great topic, I think one thing that's key that you said tonight that I'm definitely going to take away, just the importance of work-life balance and how it can potentially affect your mental health, your physical health.
Oh yeah, man.
Spiritual health. And that's why it's important to try to maintain
love life.
Yeah, and then setting up goals, and making sure you're doing a constant check of those things and
write it down. Don't real quick. This is 2018, and I put down things I need. 1, control my emotions. Do a better job of that. 2, don't procrastinate. 3, practice active listening. 4, lust for nothing. Lust is not just about women. Practice patience, practice discernment, and focus on all these above. And pray about everything. I make this every year. This is in some book, something I have, and so you can stay on it. And then you can look at these and see these are measurables.
I know. Those are good goals to have, just period, all the time. Man.
I especially like the part earlier in the show when you said learning how to say no. I feel like that's
oh man, that's hard.
Very important skill.
But Chris is accurate because I was talking to somebody today, and they're saving for a car. So they was like, "Well, I'm having difficulty saving." So I got the magic questions. I said, one, are you tracking what you spend? Which means, when we moved out here, how we can make sure I had your mom write down everything she spent and keep the receipt. Look at the receipt. Anytime she wanted to take money out the machine, we had to record it. So what we did, we could see what our disposable income was. Because most people say they don't have it, but we did. I was spending $10 a day for lunch. I had to spend $10 a day for lunch. We went out to eat all the time, different things. So we cut back. We could see. So, two, where else is money going? And right away she said, well, my family's always borrowing money. You got to learn to say no. That's why you catching a bus. And they got cars. That's why you catching a bus. And I know you don't want to say no, but you can't, it's not like if they come to you, man, we don't have no food, we starving, I get it. But because I want to go to a woman's trip to the Bahamas or, yeah. Or I went to the Bahamas last week and now I got to borrow money to pay my bill. No, you got to get that together. Because meanwhile, you don't even go to the Bahamas because you can't afford it. Okay. So at some point, you got to learn to say no to people. And sometimes it's going to be tough. Man. Us against the world. Remember that motto?
I do. Still live by that.
That's our motto.
Still live by that.
So if you're not into us,
deuces. Thank you all once again for a great episode of Above Average Black Man.
And like, follow, subscribe, share, comment. I'm showing some more, energy. Interact with this, Please, we need the support. We want to keep pushing this great content.
I thought she was about to say pushing the stone like that.
Well, that too. Keep pushing the stone.
But real quick, we got two nice things coming up. We're going to be at the King Summit, in March. They're looking forward to have us there. We'll be there. Well, the summit is from the 9th, 10th, and 11th, but we'll be there that Friday and Saturday. Mm-hmm. We got that coming up, and then we got the event at Shelton High School.
Yeah, we had to talk more about that.
Yeah, y'all hold stomping gowns, y'all hold stomping ground. Yeah, so we are, and then somebody else mentioned to me like, hey, you ever consider, if like they go to these pop-up events with multiple people, mm-hmm. It's like, yo, you should come down sometimes. There's a lot of entrepreneurs and stuff like that. So we getting there, man. We getting there.
Got to take the show on the road.
Mm-hmm. But thank you for joining us in another episode of Above Average Black Men. Same time, same channel. Like, follow, subscribe.
Yes.
You can catch us on Facebook Live, Instagram Live, Podbean Live, Spotify, and iHeartRadio.
Yay.
And YouTube.
YouTube.
We're there. See you guys next week. Peace.